Hello, my name is Jordan Moore, and welcome to my consumption project. This is the final project of the year for consumer behavior, and I am very, very excited to get into it. So let's just go ahead and jump straight into things here, and I'm going to talk about three main types of purchases. These are, of course, high involvement, low involvement, and impulse purchase. I apologize if my face cam gets in the way of anything. I'll read off anything that's in that corner just in case you can't quite see it. But we do have a high involvement purchase, which is one that's going to be pretty dang expensive, like over $100 that you thought a ton about. Something that you spent maybe days, weeks, months on trying to figure out if this was the right thing for you. Next is going to be a low involvement purchase. This is something that maybe wasn't quite as expensive and you didn't spend as long of a time on, but you still considered other variables, other options, other alternatives. An impulse purchase, finally, is something that you purchase without really much thought at all. Maybe you compare one thing. Maybe you're in a store and you're like, I need a candy bar. There's Twix, there's Snickers, and there is Milky Way. And you reach forward, you grab the Snickers, and you run off with it. That is an impulse purchase. Something that you make on the moment, spur of the moment type stuff. That is going to be your impulse purchase. So let's go ahead, let's get started talking about a high involvement purchase. So the one that I'm going to go with is actually my Callaway Maverick. Mine is a Callaway Maverick Max, but I couldn't find a picture of a Callaway Maverick Max, so here we go. The regular Callaway Maverick, it is a 2021 Callaway Maverick driver, and I bought it for $325 on the Golf Galaxy website. I chose this website because it was the cheapest option that I could find. While it wasn't on sale, it was just so cheaper here because golf shops like to sell their stuff for a little bit different prices. But this wasn't the only golf club that I looked at. We'll go a little bit into it right now, but we'll go a little bit more whenever we get to a later part in the PowerPoint. So let's look at some other alternatives here. We, of course, have the Titleist TS3, something that I loved a whole bunch. I swung it great. I love Titleist. It's easily my favorite golf brand. I have Titleist irons. I have Titleist fairway woods, but I don't have a Titleist driver because it was $500. I can think of at least 30 things I would rather do with $500 than spend it on a driver. Now I know what you may be thinking. Well, $325 really isn't that little amount of money either, but that's still $175 difference between the two clubs. So while I loved the Titleist driver and I thought it looks amazing, the Maverick was cheaper and it performed just as well, if not better, than my experience with the Titleist TS3. Next up was the Cobra King Speed Zone. I loved this driver. I actually bought it originally and took it home, as a matter of fact. But on the first time I ever took it out to the golf course, it broke. And I said, I'm not doing this again. While I loved it and I swung it in the store and I was like, this is perfect. Whenever in actual practice, it wasn't that great. So that's another alternative. The other one is the Ping G425 Max. I loved this. It was in the same price range as the Callaway Maverick, and I forgot to mention, but the Cobra Speed Zone was actually $25 cheaper than the Callaway Maverick, so not that big of a difference whenever you're already spending over $300. But the Ping here was pretty much at the exact same point, about $350 from Golf Galaxy, so I definitely considered this. But whenever I went into some stores like Golf Headquarters in Little Rock, Arkansas, and swung the club around, there was a big problem with it. It had a lead shaft. Don't ever play with a lead shaft on your driver. It's way too heavy and it's not flexible at all. So you have to swing perfectly every single time if you want the ball to fly a decent amount. While whenever you smack it, you will smack it. It's not enough for me to purchase a Ping driver like this. While I know a lot of people will differ from me on this and say you have to buy extremely tight and hard shafts, I disagree. I think that you need to buy ones that are flexible and are easy to use, and the Maverick has just that. So that's why I chose Callaway. Not only does it look fantastic, because by goodness, it looks fantastic, but it performs really good too. And it was at a great price when compared to the other 3 clubs that I have here. Let's look at golf courses, because what is a golf club without a golf courses? There are 2 really premium golf courses that are around me. Well, I spend most of my time at the North Hills Country Club here in Jonesboro because it's cheap and it's short and we can get through it in a couple of hours. These are the most premium of premium golf courses. On the left is Sage Meadows, where we've even had some golf tournaments for Arkansas State held at. And on the right, the Links in Jonesboro. Both of these are premium courses that would be extremely difficult to play without using a fantastic driver. And the Callaway Maverick is just that. So I had to look at my golf courses and I had to look at the other options before I could make this purchase, which was pretty expensive. So that's why I qualify it as a high involvement purchase. Let's move on to a low involvement purchase. One that I made extremely recently was the iPhone 13 MagSafe silicone phone case. I bought this just a few days ago for the price of $49 plus tax. So it came out somewhere around like $52 and something cents. So I paid $49 as a base price for this case, and I am in love. I had to buy a brand new phone because my old iPhone 11 shattered. The front and back were destroyed, and AppleCare had gone out of it just in like the last 30 days. So I had to purchase an all-new phone. So I figured, why not go with an all-new phone case too? So I went with this one. And whenever you compare it to its competitors and to its other options, I think it's very easy to see why I chose this one. Number 1, if you look on the left, you have your OtterBox MagSafe case. This is a really good case, honestly. It's made of hard plastic instead of silicone, which we'll talk about in a second why I don't really prefer that. But it's not too bad. The one in the middle is a Spec case. I remember when Spec was on top of the world with their phone case production, but I'm not a big fan of clear cases. While I think it's cool to kind of show the MagSafe technology working in the case, I'm not a big fan of clear cases because dirt and debris get inside and you don't really like it that much. Finally, on the right is a Casetify 100% recyclable case. And while this is really awesome, the feel is what really drives me crazy about it. So I wasn't a big fan of it. But let's compare the 2 that I know everyone knows. The OtterBox is pictured here on the left, and the silicone case, which I purchased. When looking at the 2, it really surprised me how different these 2 cases were. The Apple iPhone case before tax was $49, and the OtterBox was $52. While you may be looking and saying, well, the price isn't that big of a deal, take a look down 2 more at the shipping. For Apple, I was able to pick it up in store, so it cost me $0 for shipping. Whereas with the OtterBox, I could not find it anywhere, so I had to pay $8 for shipping, making the difference instead of just $3, $11. And $11 is a lot whenever you're looking to buy a simple phone case. Also, the material was different in the 2 of them. The Apple had a silicone case, which made it so that it stayed in my hand and wouldn't fall out of my pockets whenever I'm sitting down, maybe in sweatpants, maybe in jeans. The OtterBox was made of hard plastic, which means that it's very easy to slip, and it will fall out of my pockets if I'm at a different angle. And finally, something that I found to be really interesting, the Apple iPhone case is made from recycled materials. It's also made from recyclable materials. So one of them is made from old cases that they're putting into these new cases. So it's using waste, and it's made biodegradable so that whenever it does get released into the trash pile eventually, it's going to be able to completely decompose itself. Whereas the OtterBox is not made from recycled materials and it's not decomposable. So the OtterBox is not a safe choice for the environment either. So whenever you look at the 2 competitors, while they are very similar and they have good color schemes, the Apple one definitely comes out in the front runner. So that is why I purchased it. I didn't take quite as long to pick out a case as I did a driver, but this is definitely a low involvement purchase. And finally, let's move on to our impulse purchase. For me, this has to be the Nintendo Switch Pro controller. I bought one on Amazon on Cyber Monday literally last week, so I know what I'm talking about for sure. I got it for $45. It was on sale, $15 off. It's normally $60, which is a huge steal. But I didn't really look at too many other options. I scrolled down on the page to see, hey, is anything else on sale? And didn't really see anything. But the two that did catch my eye were these. A Power A controller on the right, which has Pikachu on it, really, really cute controller. And the left one is a Mario GameCube controller. These are very different, but it came down to just a few subtle things on why I wanted the Pro Controller over the other two. Number one, the Pro Controller at this point was the exact same price as these two, with the Power A being $1 or $2 above it. So, of course, the Pro Controller, it's called the Pro Controller for a reason because it has endless functionality. It can seamlessly switch between other consoles, which is perfect for what I needed to do. To take it over to a friend's house and play Smash Brothers, or to seamlessly connect my Switch to different places. The Pro Controller was just the right choice. The Power A definitely can't do that, and a wired GameCube controller, while it has less lag input, I don't want to sit 5 feet away from my TV screen. I want to sit on my couch with my girlfriend next to me and my dog in my lap while I play video games. I don't want to have to sit 5 feet close to the TV in a rolly chair like what I'm sitting in right now playing video games. That's just not desirable for me personally. So let's go really, really in depth with my purchases that I made. Let's take a look at my thought process before the purchase. Why did I want these things? Let's look first at the Callaway Maverick with my high involvement purchase. Number one, I'm an avid golfer. I try to golf at least once a week, even now that it's colder. And I try to go to the driving range at least once or twice every 2 weeks because I love to play golf. So this was definitely a worthwhile purchase. I just didn't know which one I wanted until I purchased the Maverick. For the also, I needed my own club. I never bought my own club. This was the first one that I ever purchased for myself. And now since then, I have purchased other clubs, but I felt like this one was definitely needed to be the high impulse purchase or the high involvement purchase, because I needed one of my own. I've been using my father's for the last 3 or 4 years, and I needed something that I purchased with my own money to give me that step of confidence. For my low involvement purchase of the phone case, I purchased a new phone, like I said, out of necessity, and I needed a good case. So I researched and I looked at all kinds of different options until I eventually landed on the Apple silicone iPhone case. So I wanted it because I needed it. I wanted it out of necessity. And for my impulse purchase, my current controller was over 2 years old, and the price had fallen because of Cyber Monday. So whenever you can get a really good controller that you've used for 2 years, it made a lot of sense whenever you saw it on sale to pick it up off Amazon. Talking about my alternatives a little bit more, I know I already talked a lot about them, but for the high involvement, I chose the Callaway simply because it was the best of both worlds. Not only was it cheaper, it also led to better performance. So one that was expensive that led to good performance, one that was not as expensive but broke easily, and one that was pretty much the same price that didn't offer me better performance. The Callaway Maverick was the only one that offered me better performance and a great price. So I had to go with the Callaway Maverick. For the low involvement, looking at the alternatives, like I said, I think it made a huge difference that one of them was biodegradable and the other wasn't. I've given a ton of speeches in my life about climate change and how that's affecting everything, and I firmly believe that we need to decrease our carbon footprint. So seeing something that was biodegradable versus something that was not biodegradable, it wasn't a very hard choice for me, honestly. And for my impulse purchase, I needed the Switch Pro controller so that I could seamlessly turn on and off my Switch, take it to somebody else's house, connect it a whole lot easier. It made a ton of sense for this purchase. Let's look at me in the process of making the purchase. What are some attributes that I really needed? Well, first off, for my high involvement for the golf club, I needed an amazing grip. I needed something that I was going to be able to use and not have my hands slide off or up or down on the shaft. I needed something that I was going to be able to take back on my backstroke and come through cleanly. And this club did just that. The grip was perfect. It was everything that I wanted from a golf club grip. And also, let's take a look at the weight. I talked about before that one of the main reasons I didn't buy the Ping driver was because it was too darn heavy. So the weight was perfect on the Maverick. You could even take out weight and add in weight if you needed something extra. Next up was the shaft. I needed something that was graphite, something that was going to be flexible. And while it was offered on all but the Ping, in the price range, I needed something good. And I got it with the shaft. And finally, the look. You can't look at the Callaway Maverick and tell me it doesn't look awesome. I mean, it looks fantastic, especially compared to the other ones that I showed you. Now for my low involvement one. Some attributes that I really looked for were the look. I'm colorblind, so picking a color that I could see very well was very important. And blue is just that. I chose the blue case because it was something I could see easily and something that I would be able to recognize from a far way away. I didn't choose something like green because I knew I wouldn't be able to see it that well, or something like red or brown or something because I wouldn't be able to see it perfectly. So I went with a color that I could see. The feel. I love the feel of the silicone grip because it means that it's not going to fall out of your hand and it's not going to fall out of your pocket. So it was a huge plus. And finally, the MagSafe attribute of it. I love things like the MagSafe wallet and the power bank, so that way I can keep going even whenever my phone is going to die. So I love the MagSafe aspect to it and wouldn't be where I am without a MagSafe case. Finally, let's look at the impulse purchase and some attributes that I loved of it. It can seamlessly connect between all of these different devices, which was huge, and it has a great feel. One of the best for any controller out on the market, even compared to Xbox and PlayStation. So in my opinion, this was a no-brainer of a purchase. So why did I choose? I feel like we've kind of been setting this up for the last 2 points, but why did I choose this product? Number one, I got it cheaper than usual in my high involvement. I mean, it was easy to buy too. The website was seamless. I was able to go in, add to cart, talk with somebody who really knew my play style and get this one recommended and buy it straight out. It was an awesome experience and one that I know I will treasure. Plus, I got it cheaper than usual on Golf Galaxy. It was very expensive on Curated. It was about $370 on Curated. But I was able to go to Golf Galaxy online and purchase it for just $325. So it was definitely better than expected. For my low involvement, I chose it because of what I talked about before, the look. The look is what really sold me because it was a color that I could see very well. I also loved the price. Being able to get it for $49 less than the competitors was something that was really surprising to me, considering it is an official Apple product. So I really loved being able to get it for a smaller price than I first believed. And for the functionality, like I said before, the MagSafe functionality is a huge bonus whenever you look at this case compared to some of the others that they offer for the iPhone 13. And finally, let's look at my Impulse. And why did I choose my Impulse controller? Because I felt like I needed it, dang it. I felt like I needed to treat myself to a new controller on Prime Day. So after the purchase, would I buy these things again? For the golf club, absolutely I would. I can swing it much better than my dad's club that I was using before. Now, would I purchase the exact same club again? Maybe not. I'd probably buy a newer generation because obviously as technology improves, you're going to be able to drive it further and further and further. Obviously, people back in the day with their wooden clubs weren't hitting golf balls that were made of wood 300 yards into the air and down a fairway. They were definitely hitting it about 100 with their driver, and they thought that that was fantastic. So over the next couple of years, I'll keep my eye out, and whenever it comes out and it's got a good price, and I've had this one for 8-9 years, it's gotten its wear on it, I'll make the purchase. But believe me, it will be another Callaway. For my low involvement, yeah, I would definitely purchase it again. Maybe in a different color to give it a little bit of flair, but probably something like a blue or a yellow or something like that that I can easily identify since I'm colorblind. And finally, for Impulse, I will buy another. That's not like a would you maybe, that is a yes, I am going to buy another one, 100% guaranteed, bet my life on it. Now let's reflect. For my high involvement, this was the best golf club I have ever bought. I'm not only hitting better, but I'm more confident than I ever have been in my life behind the ball. Having something that's your own, that you've given time into and you put money into sitting behind the ball just gives you a new set of confidence. So I loved this purchase of high involvement. For my low involvement, I wish I might have purchased a leather one. Now this is really stretching it because I really love the silicone feel to it, but it does attract a lot of dirt, a lot of dust, and a lot of fabric and string and stuff. So maybe if I purchased a leather one, stuff wouldn't stick to it. And finally, for the Impulse, I love this purchase and I'm very glad I made it. Like I said before, I will purchase it again and it won't be my last. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. I hope that it was everything it needed to be and everything that you'd hoped it had been. I really love this class and I thank you for everything that we've been able to do this semester. I had a great time and I hope that you enjoyed the presentation. Thank you so much.